Hey everyone, this is WobblyWallaby. In this video, I covered the class buffs in the latest beta server build. I'll cover classes like Blade Soul, Saint, Ninja, Heinrich, Dragon Fist, Doram, and more. Stay tuned for all the details. First is Blade Soul, which got a ton of great buffs. For Full Black Claw, this skill gains a new effect which is cause one-time poison cast onto the enemy, and also removes the casting condition. Poison cast is an Acer skill, and having this cast automatically is great for dealing more damage. But what is truly insane is the removal of the casting condition. That is, the target no longer needs to be below 60% HP to take effect. This is great for both PvP and PvE for dishing out a ton of damage. Here with auto attack I hit for 162,000 damage. Then I cast Full Black Claw. The damage goes up to 405,000 damage. 150% more auto attack damage is no joke, and this can lead to a fun auto attack meme build for PvE. In PvP this will be a killer skill. Next is Soul Erosion. I had to modify the translation quite a bit for me to understand what's actually happening. For Soul Erosion, it gains a new effect. When the attack element is poison and dealing damage to monsters, poison element coefficient to other elements increase by 0.2. If you happen to be using poison against monsters, then you'll be doing more damage than before. This is great for PvE, and if you happen to be using it in instances like Oracle Dungeon or White Star Airship, Poison Smoke can do much better, which is fantastic. Now, if you need BCC to buy runes for these new buffed classes, then try Smile.1. Smile.1 allows you to get discounted BCC and premiums for Ragnarok Mobile. They have been around for more than 8 years and have plenty of global business partners for other games too. There are plenty of payment methods for lots of flexibility. I'll put a link in the description. Thanks to Smile.1 for sponsoring this video. Next is Soul Chain Constraint. Against a new effect, Soul Chain reduces enemy movement speed by up to 48%. The chance to reduce movement speed by 48% is huge. That will slow down the target's ability to run away from Blade Soul, and this will be really annoying for PvP, so this is a great buff. Next is Soul Intimidation. It gains a new effect. When using Dark Illusion, have up to 100% chance to cast Soul Chain on the enemy. Here I cast Dark Illusion and you can see the Soul Chain being cast on the enemy. Blade Soul got a ton of buffs and I think people who use it in PvP will be very happy. Next is Saint. Colossal Heal adjusted in PvP and GVG to effect increased by 4 times. This is huge for ensuring you can out-heal the damage. I think this shows you just how absurd the damage is these days that it has to increase by 4 times. Next is Barter's Aria, which now triggers Son of Radiance level 1. Getting 3 seconds of physical and magic immunity is huge and an absolutely great buff. Next is the Hammer Blessing. The multiplier was adjusted to 150%, previously it was at 120%, so an extra 30% damage multiplier is great if you're especially into the auto attack build. Next, Barter's Crown and Hudo's Wings cooldown reduced by 60%. Right now, as you can see, Hudo's Wing is a 90-second cooldown, and also Barter's Crown is a 90-second cooldown as well. On the beta server, Hudo's Wing is at 60-second cooldown, and Barter's Crown is also at 60-second cooldown. This is a pretty big difference, so quite a nice buff to these skills. Next, Saint gains 1 new star rune, and man, this rune is OP, since it does so much. Callisto Heal now applies to self and healed teammates, HP shield limit ranging from 1% to 15% and lasts 3 seconds. Having an HP shield is insane, and getting up to 15% HP is really nice too. Next, Elegy proc plus 1 to 30%. Currently the max is 40%, so getting more percentage to prevent debuffs or status to be removed is great. Also, you're dealing dark damage with the 3rd line, so much easier to do. Next, when using Closer Heal, 3 enemies within the 8 meter range will use Dark Shadow Slaughter, and that's a 30% chance to get. I have this rune equipped, I'm going to cast Closer Heal and then, oh no, the Pore Seals. This is a funny meme farming technique, but also really good in PvP and PvE since you can now deal damage to things even when you're healing in instances or in battle. It never hurts to chip away at people. I think Saints got a ton of great buffs and it's really going to be great for them. Next is Doram. I play Doram in PvP, so these buffs are great. First is Meow, its cooldown is reduced to 30 seconds. Next, Fresh Shrimp is adjusted in PvP and GVG to have its effect increased by 4 times. More healing is great, so a nice buff. Next, Life Concentric's effect is now adjusted to 50%, a 20% increase from before. This is great for Dorams to deal extra damage, and this is definitely a welcome buff for a class I often recommend for free-to-play players. Next is Yamata. Its Wind Shuriken Swift Shadow skill multiplier is adjusted to 150%. I think the Shuriken build is a decent build before and now has much bigger damage output. Next, the Ninja Shadow Slash gains a new effect. It increases self-ignore defense and magic defense by up to 24%. This ignore defense and magic defense is insane, especially in combination with fog cutting. Next is One Single Thought Star Ruin. It reduces target physical damage reduction adjusted to stackable 10 times. This rune doesn't seem to be in the beta server. If it was, that seems really unfair to stack -1 to up to -20% damage reduction 10 times. But if this does work, this will be insane for both PvP and PvE. It really softens up the target. Next is Luna and Solar. Its Shield Resonance has its effect adjusted in PvP and GVG to have it increased by 4 times. This is another example of where the healing just isn't good enough for PvP, so they made it 4 times stronger. And this same approach continues with the Divine Avenger, who got more PvP specific healing as well. For Divine Avenger's Battle Chant, it is adjusted in PvP and GVG to have its effect increased by 4 times. And the same thing for Glorious Guardian, it's adjusted in PvP and GVG to increase by 4 times. I personally wish that these skills also applied to PvE. I would love to see Divine Avenger show up even more in instances, and more heal would be fantastic. Next, the devs gave Dragon Fist a ton of love. For Critical Explosion, it now cannot be dispelled. I didn't realize that you could get Critical Explosion dispelled. Since that's required for a Sure Strike, that's kinda crazy that you could counter this class like this before. Well, I'm glad they fixed it. Next is Bomb Explosion Ruin. It gains a new line. Under Critical Explosion status, it gains Endure effect, and it has a 100% chance to get. It seems like more and more classes are getting the Endure effect, possibly because of how hard it is to get the Edgar Star card. Next is Dragon Ball Play with Fire. Its effect is adjusted to every Dragon Ball increases up to 1% water elemental attack and skill damage. Adding skill damage here is nice, although personally I'd want to see a bit more skill damage than this. Considering Rathgrassi's Valkyrie skill adds 30% skill damage, this is quite low in comparison. I think maybe like 3% skill damage for Dragon Ball would be better. Next is Curse Circle, which you can now use under Steel Body, and also Curse Circle after use, a Sure Strike and Sky Breaking Dragon Fist casting range increased by 2 meters and lasts for 5 seconds. Curse Circle is good for PvP, and now it got stronger. It's nice having increased range as well for strikes too. Next for Dragon Fist Acer Monument, the Steel Body Quick Cast, its effect has been adjusted to -2 seconds. It was -0.2 before, so this is a big difference. It's definitely a nice buff to Steel Body. However, despite all these buffs, I still think it's not unfair enough to compete with Saitama in PvE, but I do hope in the future they'll make this class more viable in PvE. Next is Hela. Her Castigate skill gains a new effect. For every 5 int, dex, or luck, damage to monsters increase 2%. It's great that she can deal with monsters better. The damage is super significant, but I think in general her AoE just isn't good enough compared to Rathgrassi. I tried this in White Star Airship, the damage just wasn't good enough. It was okay to clear some low-level elite mobs. In Oracle Elite 11, it was a pretty mediocre change too. I'd hope that it would be an enormous difference, but I don't think it is. I think the problem with this is the 0 attribute requirement. Sure, just one attribute needs to be 0, but mobs do have attributes. Against mobs, it would be better if there was just extra damage without the 0 attribute requirement. Next is Heinrich. He got quite a few buffs, which really tells you just how underwhelming this class really was when it was released. For Fire Strike, the casting range increased to 4 meters, the distance went from 2 to 4, which is a big jump. I agree that his stuff needs to be a bit more ranged. Next for Starlight, its effect was adjusted to every 6 fit, increased by 1% damage. The change was from 8 to 6 vit, which is great. The damage scaling will definitely go up with more vit. On this DPS build of Heinrich with max vit, I have 325 vit. So currently you would get a 40% damage increase, but in the future it will be 54% damage increase, which is a nice boost. Next is Eternal Night. It gains a new effect. When used on monsters, Heinrich will not lose HP and will be immune to HP loss. This is a great change because I hate having his HP drop to 0 when just fighting a monster. It kinda sucked, so I definitely like that they fixed this. Next is Heinrich's Ruin of Pure Blood, which was adjusted from provide neutral elemental attack to provide all elemental attack. This is nice, so when you're converting, this will actually make a difference. Next is his weapon, Empire Blade and Empire Sword. His tier 4 has a new effect, which is adding the auto attack damage increase plus 5%. Overall, Heinrich got some crazy good buffs, and hopefully he'll be a lot better in PvE. Finally, my friends who played Magic Novice Guardian in PvP will be excited with this fix. Novice Guardian's Soul Gathering Ruin now gains a new line. Under improved concentration status, Storm Gust and Thunderbolt ignore magic defense plus 50%, and this is a 100% chance to get. Getting 50% ignore magic defense is pretty insane, and you can swap out other cards or gear now. Well, that's all. Which class balances did you like the most? Let me know in the comments section. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Here's a video that I recommend, and if you want more sneak peeks, check out this playlist over here.